This is David Kirkpatrick reporting from Cairo for the New York Times. Today, 3 of the runners-up in the first round of Egypt's first competitive presidential election came out and together denounced the results as fraudulent. Their case was not particularly convincing. They didn't have any new evidence, and international observers have said that the results, while not perfect, were probably generally reflective of the vote, but it adds to the sense of tension and a lack of credibility surrounding the presidential race. It comes as protesters went into the streets for the third night tonight to complain about the verdict handed down in the trial of former President Hosni Mubarak over the weekend. The protesters are upset at the strangely equivocal nature of the verdict. Mr. Mubarak was tried for the police shooting of protesters during the uprising that brought down the Mubarak era.
Mohammed Hosni al-Sayyid Mubarak.
The judge ruled that Mr. Mubarak was guilty as an accessory to murder in that case, but at the same time, he said that he saw no evidence that Mr. Mubarak played an active role in those killings, and he let off the hook about a half a dozen security officials between Mr. Mubarak in the chain of command over the police. The backlash against the verdict in the Mubarak trial is taking place in an atmosphere of intense polarization around the runoff in Egypt's first competitive presidential election. Ahmed Shafiq, Mr. Mubarak's last prime minister, is facing off against Mohammed Morsi of the Muslim Brotherhood. The Brotherhood is seeking to turn the election into, in effect, a retrial, pledging that if their candidate wins, they will initiate new investigations, find new evidence, figure out who's responsible for those deaths of protesters, and bring Mr. Mubarak to justice. It's unclear how that will play out. On the one hand, they may successfully tar Mr. Shafiq with his association with Mr. Mubarak, suggesting that he might even pardon the former president. On the other hand, if the protests continue for a fourth or fifth day and become increasingly unruly, that in turn could lend more power to Mr. Shafiq's law and order message.
In Thailand, an economic cornerstone and way of life face an uncertain future.
This is Thomas Fuller for the New York Times in Phitsanulok, central Thailand. Rice farming is an old profession in Thailand, dating to the earliest days of Thai civilization. But these days, it sometimes feels like only the old are working in the fields. Rice farming is muddy, back-breaking work, ideally suited for the young and able-bodied. But 70% of farmers are 35 and above, according to the government. This is Sombun Rungsongun, a 48-year-old farmer who specializes in spraying herbicide. He has 2 daughters, neither of whom have expressed any interest in farming.
You never see anyone helping their mother or father. They don't want to come. They're afraid of snakes. Once I start spraying, they run away. They say it smells.
Like in many developing societies, young people are spending longer in school and have fled to the cities. They're lured to Bangkok, to jobs with fixed hours, air-conditioned offices, and evenings out with friends. A government plan to raise minimum wage may only serve to accelerate the flight from the rice paddies. One of Sombum's daughters, Supraporn, says she wants to be a lawyer.
It's hot here. I want a more comfortable job.
She lives across the street from rice paddies, but at 14, she's never planted a single rice seed. The problem, says Eam Tongdi, a farmer who became a professor of Asian culture as it relates to agriculture, is that the image of the farmer in Thai society has taken a nosedive.
Today, the image of the farmer is stupid, poor, and sickly. I can assure you that.
Eam says Thailand should work with other rice-growing countries to raise the price of rice.
Farmers would get a better living. And that's when our children will see farming in a better light.
For most of the past decade, Thailand has been the world's largest rice exporter. In the long run, the country faces a possible labor shortage in the fields. Some farmers have already thrown in the towel. The family that owns this plot is literally selling off the land, truckload by truckload. The dirt is being delivered to construction sites. More buildings rising in Thailand's ever-expanding cities and towns.